back into position, and it makes all the difference.
Well, you're starting to see athletes eat into those around them. Marta Hussens just comes by Mauritius, Marigan Legesse, and over to the other side of the road, and absolutely just tracing a golden thread through this tapestry of pain. Gosh, I need to get a T-shirt made with that phrase on it. Van der Breggen tucks in a little bit of shuffle here on the saddle. You see her encroaching the front. Let's see her readjust herself again in a moment. This is one of the things that can actually hamper you as on a time trial run is if you can't stay planted. And it's a difficult thing to mitigate against. We've had gripper saddles in the past. We've had some rather challenging looks, to be honest. Tony Martin once decided that he was going to get his own gripper saddle and decided to glue wet and dry sandpaper on his saddle. Unfortunately, it began to eat through his kit, and then it began to eat through him. And that wasn't a good look. So yes, there was an allowance, and some of the technology is actually built in gripper saddles, and so the what we used to call butt shuffle has actually kind of ebbed a little bit. But occasionally you see riders just struggling to find that comfortable position. It's a mark of how much power they're putting in that they get out of position and then have to readjust. If you're constantly readjusting, it doesn't help.
It doesn't, but if you look at how solid she is now in this position, I think it's all about, I've talked about, you know, surprises on the day, haven't I? And the conditions, you can't utterly predict them down to the finest elements of, you know, exactly what the temperature is going to be, how the exact humidity is going to be the week you come into competition. But if anybody knows exactly what to expect from herself and the position, but you're right, yeah, there's some shifting around there, but she is very, very used to being in this TT position. She has put hours upon hours and hours and hours, not only throughout her entire career to perfect this, but recently she will have put such a big focus on today as well. We talked earlier about the fact that we've got some really big names absent from the men's field, the women's field, and whether or not they thought they could target a result today. The fact that Anna van der Breggen is fielding this TT means she is well drilled and well prepared to do something special.
That's the voice of Rebecca Charlton, who's joined me, Carlton Kirby, here for the UCI Road World Championships. We're in Kigali, in Rwanda. Well, there's been population here since 8000 BC, they've found evidence of. And quite a few things have changed. We're having a bit of a party right now. And that's because this is the first time, of course, that the World Championships have been held here on the African continent. And it won't be the last, because it's been absolutely spectacular. Beautifully organised. And, of course, our thanks to the UCI and Monsieur Le Partillon and, indeed, everybody who have collected together to produce what has been an amazing achievement. And just look at it as well. We have retina fizzing sunshine. It is glorious. There's very little wind. There will be even conditions for absolutely everyone throughout the run. A near perfect time trial, you might say. Well, some time trialists will possibly disagree with you, basically saying this is maybe not for the purists, but that makes it even more entertaining, because the questions that now we have as to who will thrive in this field have widened. We've got classics riders who can actually push the time trial bikes spectacularly so. And in fact, it's not the first time that the World Championships, the time trial, has featured altitude, but there's a lot in this course. We've got 460 metres of elevation gain spread over the 31.2 kilometres of the course, which is significant over such a short distance. So there are rises and falls, there's cobble sections as well. It's brilliant.
It's utterly brilliant, and it's even more brilliant because there were elements of the course that we'd all had a look at prior to today, thinking they might not be as taxing as they could be, but they evidently are. That final section is brutal after everything else they've contended with. And with the duration of today that we're looking at, this level of distance for a time trial and that elevation gain, it is all about not going into the red too early in those early time splits. minutes, as we just see Anna van der Breggen there overtaking Tennille Campbell, who went out ahead of her today, of course, for Trinidad and Tobago. But here we are with Anna van der Breggen, and I keep talking about the importance of pacing, and it's even more important when you're looking at riders taking on the altitude that they are at today, and the things like the air quality, the humidity. If you go into the red on a climb, it's bad. If you go into the red at altitude, with that to contend with as well, recovery becomes all the more difficult each kilometre you go on.
Urska Zirgut, Slovenia. They're familiar.